Welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 227 of this episode for podcast. That's the word I was looking for. I was going to get to it eventually.
This is our 227th chapter of this specific episode.
Yes, it is. Welcome to 227. Big shout out to our patrons. Thanks so much for your support this week. Bryce and Patrick, thanks so much for signing up. And for everybody else who resubbed up, we love your faces. And Patrick also was the one that left an amazing 5-star review for
Patrick. Thanks, Patrick.
Yep.
Thank you both of you. Thank you both of you. But go.
I never appreciated how easy my lawn care plan was until I started listening to these guys. My PoE skills are terrible, but my lawn is thriving. Thanks, guys. I'm glad your lawn is thriving.
As Justin tweeted, mission accomplished.
Yep. Job complete, work complete. I thought afterwards, I was like, damn it, I should have work complete. That's what was it? Warcraft 3, I think. Or 2. No, 2 maybe. Maybe even 1. I don't remember. But yeah, thanks so much, patrons. We love your faces. And for everybody else who hits that 5-star button, whatever, just 5-star, Spotify, Apple Podcasts on our website. And it's
There's incentive. We don't pay you for it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but you get the best virtual high five ever.
2 of them.
Patreon and if you're access in the mood, a little butt tap.
Oh, within
virtual
reason.
Butt tap. Hang on,
virtual,
sorry.
Yeah.
Whew.
Don't get us in trouble, Ty. Jeez. Patreon gets access to After Dark, which is our podcast after the podcast. And it's just more of us talking about stuff and things and a card and a sticker. So thank you, everybody, for supporting. We love you.
He said sticker, not stick her.
Sticker.
Do you know how many times when I'm like I voice type all the time, right? And I do my best to fix it. Sometimes I forget. But like how many times Google like screws up the word. Like my son's name's Oliver.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times it's all of her.
Oh.
And do you know how nasty that could turn into something when you're speaking to like one of your son's kids' moms? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, I'm just going to go get all of her and I'll be right back and let you know. It's like, okay.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah, that's right. Just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's funny.
Just wanted to wish, I feel so shallow and empty saying this, but our West Coast buddies, California specifically, but across the West Coast, there's been tons and tons of rain and flooding, and thousands, almost 1 million people, as far as I've read anyway, are without electricity, so many without homes. So just wanted to, as much as we can, send our hearts out to you and wish there was more that we could do than simply just wish you the best. But we do really hope that you're doing well for all those.
My mom's there right now.
In California?
Yeah, she drove down right as the flooding was starting. She's going there for a month. And I was like, wow, good timing. You're going to have a good time. It's actually, she sent some pictures. It's a lot better now. But yeah, it was pretty crazy, some of the pictures and videos she sent. So how was your week?
It's astonishing how quickly it builds up, but also how quickly it rescinds. Obviously, the damage and the consequence of it lasts a long time, as we discovered, but it's amazing how quickly it can come and go, and then it's just devastating.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How's your week?
Good, man. Good. Yeah. Kids had 2 half days this week at school. We had parent-teacher interviews, and
so surprised they didn't give them today off. They always do that. They're like, you got 2 half days, take the next day off too.
Right. Well, that's because next week we have a 4-day weekend, because what do we have? It's on the Family Day in BC is the 19th this month. And then so they're like, you know what? You can have the 16th off too. Weekend. And all the working parents are like, yeah, awesome, that's what we want. More family time. So yeah, anyway, but that is thoughtful for those that do have the ability to book off the typical weekend and stuff like that. They get an extra day for their family getaway. Not us. So, yeah. So, but no, I'm doing well. My in-laws are visiting, which is nice. Cool. We have lots of birthdays within there and my side of the family, from like December to April. Half the family is within those few months. So they're coming down to squeeze a few in, and
cool. It's
always nice to have them. They're fantastic guests. So we've been doing that this week. A lot of visiting as opposed to playing or watching and things like that. But it's been really nice. Very, very good.
That's good.
But other than that, it's been low key. Like the kids have been home a lot. My daughter's been sick. This infection that I got where, my voice is kind of back. But as we go through the podcast, this will be the most I've spoken all week. I'll get coughing a lot again. But so my apologies for that, Justin. Is superior.
Notepads up and ready.
All right. Oh yeah, no, I went to the ENT this week. I forgot to say that, and that was my final post-op follow-up after the surgery that I had for my nose. And so everything's looking good and fine. He checked out the infection as well, which was great. And he said it was an infection, not a virus or anything like that. And that can last, like the consequence of that can last up to 12 weeks. But if you don't feel like it's getting better, I do feel like it's getting better. But he's like, if you doesn't feel like it's getting better, come back and see me anytime. But he's a phenomenal doctor. He's very good at listening and figuring things out, and everything where he says like, I'm pretty sure it's this, he's been bang on. And he's like, you know what? I think it'll go away within this time frame. He's been bang on. So that was nice and encouraging. And he's part of the same ENT group that saw my daughter and did surgery on my daughter. So he gave a quick check out to her too, snuck that in. And that was nice because she's missed a lot of school this week because she got the infection that I got. So
that's too bad.
It's all good.
At least you're getting better. Did your Discord like reset some settings? Remember how the input sensitivity thing, normally we have it like jacked all the way down. So because I can hear your mic kicking in and out. I know it's not in the recording. That'll be fine. But you know how the input sensitivity is usually dragged way down to the left?
It's currently at automatic. I'll turn it back off.
Yeah, turn that off.
It's normally off, so it must have been an update.
Must have been an update or something changed. Well, that's good.
I haven't checked my Windows levels though. Hang on.
No, you're fine. Audio wise, you're fine.
It's not crackling?
And your recording will be fine. It's just I was noticing it cutting out, and that makes sense as to why I couldn't hear your dog scratching early on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, no, it's been a good week.
You're good then? Like everything went fine with
everything's perfect. Granted, the first nose surgery I had, which was like, 15, 20 years ago, maybe now. I went back to the same doctor, of course, for the follow-up to see how things are. And then 10 years later, when things weren't working properly, I got sent back to the same ENT who did the surgery. Like, yeah, everything's fine. This guy I trust. He doesn't seem like he's out to impress anybody. You know what I mean? Like it's all medicine to him. So I get the impression that he's a lot more trustworthy, of course. But yeah, I went back to the same ENT to make sure that my nose surgery went well. So as far as I know, it's fine. But it's like, it's the same thing as fixing your roof. It's like, well, how would you know? Like I can breathe through it, but how do I know it's going to, like I could breathe through it after my first surgery too. It was 10 years later when it stopped working. So it's not like I would know any better, but everything's fine. Everything's good. I can actually breathe. I probably snore louder than ever now, which my wife was heartbroken about. She was hoping this would fix my snoring, but and the kids are healthy. School's good. It's been a great week. So how about you, man? Anything good?
This was a really busy week for work. I didn't get a chance to really play too much, at least not Path of Exile wise, just super, super busy work wise. What else? I didn't, but yeah, besides work, it was, man, I'm trying to think if we did anything. I don't think so. I think it was a pretty just work, hung out with the kids. I'm just looking on my calendar to see if there was anything that came up.
Right. Yeah. That's your week.
It's literally all work. I started watching Billions with Christina.
Oh, okay. That's been around for a while.
It's been around for a bit. It's funny. I tried to watch it years ago. I downloaded the first season onto I don't remember if it was a laptop or tablet, but I was going to China. So I downloaded the first season and I was like, well, so I'll watch it on the plane. Got a long flight. If anyone's watched Billions and knows the very first 3-4 minutes of episode 1, knows why I did not finish the
Is it all tits?
Not tits. No, it's not. It's not a scene. Well, I mean, it was fun and it obviously, helps you understand some of the characters, but it's not a scene for on an airplane. So I didn't end up finishing it or watching it. Is it violence
and gore or is it
No,
sex?
It's very sexual.
It's how many shows do that though?
In an S&M way.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Like how many shows start off with this wicked sex scene, so everyone's like, "All right, this is gonna be a great show," and then they never show it again for the next 100 episodes. There's not even nothing. There's no.
They do
skin.
in Billions. There is more that happens in Billions, but I like that style of show. Like it's I can't remember the other one that we watched recently with it's the dad who's like this media mogul and it's all his kids who want to take over the business. Man, I wish I could remember what it's called. Succession. Yeah, we really like that. Billions is sort of like that same.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we watched that a little bit this week, but yeah, it was just work. I played a game called Icarus. I had a little bit of time on some evenings and I really liked Enshrouded, which was like that
Yes,
big open world survival style. So I had looked at some other ones, and Icarus was another one. So it's actually made by another New Zealand developer. And I didn't know that until I was reading through some of the patch notes and things that they had done. And they referenced that they're like, oh, it's this time in New Zealand right now, and this is happening. So this, and they talk about how they have MOAs, which is the same as what the ROA is in Path of Exile, but it's like actually what a MOA looks like. So they have like a lot of New Zealand stuff in their game too. Really good game. It's actually really fun.
Imagine what a game would be like if we did it. Yeah, so here's a game based on the Canadian environment. We have moose. We have watch out for that moose. We have the Canadian loon.
Geese.
Watch out for that loony. Yeah. And then we get all confused because what's the plural of geese? What's singular of geese? Oh man, check out all those gooses, eh? Oh no, look at the beaver enemy, eh?
Yeah. And just go like super typical. It's snow everywhere.
We would have to move to New Zealand and then be like, oh yeah, no, our environment, we did everything according to cult, then pretend that we've been there for forever.
Yeah, like there is much culture.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, this is just a funny side note that I was going to tell you about. I was driving yesterday, I think, no, maybe 2 days ago, earlier this week. And this car drives past me, and it's, of course, not to be whatever, but it's Alberta plates. Not a truck this time, but you see the red plates. But my favorite part is...
Was it like a Honda Civic raised and jacked, like 30 feet in the air?
It was a Volkswagen, but like lowered and with big fat tires on it, and all tinted windows, and just stunk. Like it was so loud. But I don't get the concept of putting stickers on the back of your car. Like I've never really, that's not me. I don't really want to put stickers on my car.
Like the fake sponsor stickers?
No, like just bumper stickers, just whatever, whatever you think or want people to know about you. But I've never, that's not my thing. I'm not a sticker person on my car, but there's just this thing in my head that if I see a sticker that's got a middle finger or something, I make a judgment call. Without
hey, listen, there's a reason that, you know what though, we shouldn't judge, but that's kind of fair. That's exactly people put bumper stickers on their car so people know a little bit about them.
About you. Right. And this just made me laugh because on the back of this guy's car, there were some like skull hands with the middle finger out. There was earmuffs for a second if you've got kids listening, but a fuck Trudeau, of course.
I was going to say, of course,
you got to have that. And then
that's our prime minister, by the way. That's our prime minister.
And then there were a couple other ones, but the reason I bring it up is my absolute favorite part is as I'm driving past him on the right side of his rear window. He also has another sticker that's kind of like gold and glittery, and it's got his Instagram handle on it. Like what?
Wow.
Which I tried so hard to read it, but I couldn't read it.
Sweet I was like, promo.
Yeah. Oh man, it made me laugh so hard. I was like, you're winning. You're doing a great job.
That's funny.
Anyway, it just made me laugh.
Well, that was one thing with Trump winning the election in the States a while ago. I mean, you never saw out here, if you ever saw any political, not like social political, but actual like political party bumper stickers before, you knew exactly who they were, how old they were, and like just their demeanor, you know what I mean, before Trump. But then of course Trump wins, and we're neighbors, so there's a lot of I don't know, what would you call it?
It was the first time you saw,
I guess you could say,
American politics in Canada on cars.
Well, but then even just then, like you get all of a sudden every group, every demographic, like anybody would have a sticker about Trudeau, again, like the Liberal Party or the NDP, or all of a sudden those stickers were everywhere. Like you would have never, ever seen a middle. I turned off my PC audio. Oh, dang it. I must have changed it when I was checking the Discord settings.
Nice job, Vals.
Oh, did Vals get me? Son of a good job, Vals. Your check is in the mail. But like, so Justin Trudeau's our PM now, but like you would have never, ever seen a bumper sticker that says something like "fuck Jean Chrétien."
Yeah,
you never like it. Poor Justin Trudeau, whether you agree with him or not, he's the PM that exists after Trump comes in or during the Trump, inauguration. So now all of a sudden he's going to get it no matter what. Yes, he was, but like this is he's going into his 8th year. But it's like just he's the one that's in there through the duration where everybody starts caring about politics. Everyone's going to start voting now, and so he's the one that's there. And so he, of course, he starts off with all the F whoever the PM is bumper stickers. Poor guy.
I don't feel sorry for him, but I did find it funny.
We all know who Justin voted or if we didn't vote for him.
But I did find it funny that people, I don't know. I just always find it amusing. There is a car near us that has one of the dumbest stickers on it. First off, because it's very long. You got to read it, but it's one of those ones that
right.
People,
it's like, how long's this red light? Like,
yeah, it's going to take me a minute to read it, but it was one of those ones that came out during COVID and the whole like wearing a mask and whatever. But it's something about like proud to be part of the minority in man, I can't remember, but it's like they're trying to make you feel bad for the fact that they're part of the group that thinks that you shouldn't infringe on their rights or something. I can't remember what the wording is, but every time I read it, I'm like, okay, it's time to take that down. Now you just look silly. Like it doesn't even apply to anything anymore. And it just cracks me up. It's on a giant truck too. And I'm like,
with hockey sticks, right?
Canadian,
like there's so many people. I love it. And I think this is great. I love this part, but where it's like the representation of Canada is you have hockey sticks sticking out from whatever part of your truck. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you have like big Canadian flags on them as well. Going down the street. I love it. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, you used to see that a lot when like Canucks would start to get into the playoffs and stuff. You'd see the Canucks ones. I have seen more Canadian flags in the past few years, which is definitely new for Canada, especially our area. Like for years, we didn't see Canadian flags.
And then there was the stint for 2 years where like the Freedom Envoy that we had, where there was the truckers people, right, that were against the mandatory or not, quote unquote mandatory vaccinations. There was that political debacle. So the Canadian flag ended up representing those that did not agree with the mandatory vaccinations. But that's faded though a bit now. Like now when you see a Canadian flag on a vehicle, it's like, you have no idea what their political stance is, and it's back to the way it was. But Canucks got spanked by Boston the other day. Flashbacks of 2011. That's
what it was. I'm trying to tell you. Fringe minority. Okay. Part of the fringe minority with unacceptable views or something.
We love you no matter who you are, wherever you're from, no matter where you're
going.
Tyler
does. Tyler's a kind person. He's a kind soul. I actually saw that they lost. I saw it 4-0 when Christina and I went out on a date last night, and it was on the TV at the restaurant we went to. What is that noise?
I see. Oh,
what's that?
There's lots of construction at my house.
Oh, that's right.
But don't worry, that's been nonstop. That was part of our silence.
It'll come. I know it'll come out. So I just hadn't heard it yet.
Can you say where you went?
We went to Brown's Social House, I think it's called. I'll double check.
Okay. We went to beep, 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 beep. I think you went to an hourly motel, but hey, nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
They got spanked, and it was complete. Like we're top of the league, right? So it was a complete reflection of the 2011 Finals, Game 7, because we're both top of the league. Of course, you're in the Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, and we just get spanked. So now we're the top.
Yet, are we?
No, but we're the top 2 teams in the league.
Oh, Boston's the other one.
They're second place, and by them beating us, they tied us points wise. But because they've beaten us more, they're going to be first.
Oh, good job, Boston.
An annihilation. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And unfortunately, there's a player that many Canadians just can't stand, and it's probably not legit. But there's a player in Boston called Brad Marchand has
that name. Didn't he used to play for us?
Reputation. No, he's been Boston forever. But he's very talented. But he's very
isn't he a bit cocky and a bit cheap, like get in your face,
aggressive? Right. Oh yeah, very much. Like it'd be like Sean Avery, but good skills.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so he rubs people the wrong way because he doesn't say sorry, eh? Mm-hmm. So he's like the only Canadian that Canadians cheer against, and he's on Canadian. Boston. So
okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we have no Canadians on our team, eh? In Vancouver.
We don't?
No, it's like all Vancouver's, all Americans and Swedes.
Huh. Interesting.
Eh?
Crazy. Well, anyway. My week overall was good. It was a good week. It was just very, very busy.
Oh yeah, you had a week.
Not going to stop. And then we've got, don't forget, we've got our upcoming private league starting in a week. Starts next week. So
yeah, that's right. This is the last podcast before it starts. So
yeah,
sign
starts
up.
on Friday, the 16th PST time. So whatever that is, your time. Information's on our Discord under the announcements. So if you want to join, I should probably double check to make sure I've added more spots, but it's going to be fun. Looking forward to it. I am what's the word? But I'm guessing, I'm assuming, well, that maybe, well, that's a little mean, but I'm assuming this is going to be my worst finish. I think this is going to be my worst private league because my time is very limited for this private league. Typically it's not this bad, but we had to move it. Ziz. So yeah, it's going to be fun though. Anyway, let's get into it. What's this week in PoE?
Well, you're skipping a card, Jess.
Oh, am I sorry? I don't
the
look at
construction people outside. Yeah, I know you're doing great. The construction people outside are like the city's replacing a lot of the water mains and stuff around the. I'm not sure I say that, maybe not. But anyway, they're replacing a lot of the water mains to the houses in our area and the cul-de-sacs around. And so there's been construction in our place since before Christmas. Like just on the street and stuff. But the connection to the house from the city for water is like halfway up my lawn in the garden, but it's halfway up my lawn. So they're having to dig through, about 5 feet down into the ground up to that water connection. And just for safety reasons, they of course had to fill in the huge hole that they made, but they filled it up with rock, which is a pain in the butt for a lawn lover, right? Because rock spreads. Like I remember when our perimeter drain was getting fixed, rock was an option to fill in some of the patio and things like that. I'm like, no. Rock does not stay still. I do not. No. Definitely not. They were trying to penny pinch, but rock was not an option. So they filled it up with gravel and it spread, unfortunately, quite a lot throughout the lawn and the garden. Anyway, so they're replacing that today. And they are going to finish it up and they're going to put topsoil on it and seed it. And that's all great. Sure. They said that it's going to be in proper time for spring, which thoughtful construction company. Hey, so, but then I see them, this is before, like I'm not watching, they're doing the project right now on my property, but I can't see it because, the window doesn't let me see it. But I saw the huge excavator coming in with massive amounts of gravel. And I'm like, no, like I'm desperate for them to only fill the gravel up to like, hopefully halfway, maybe like give me a foot of topsoil. There's nothing worse than like having rock right underneath where the grass seed is laid, because like when your kids are digging around and having a good time, if you want to change, where the edging of your garden is, whatever it is, there's nothing worse than just hitting like one big rock is better than like a pile of gravel, because it's such a pain to dig through. It's so frustrating. So I'm like praying that they have like a company rule where there's got to be a foot of topsoil or something. I'm like really nervous to look outside. But anyway, that's my lawn talk for this week. Did you get started yet? Are you going to risk the frost?
No, not yet. All
right. Your guy voted against it. It was unanimous.
I don't know what's happened. I think I've just left it in his hands for now, but it's also just, it's not warm enough. Like the sun's out, which is nice. It's been clear, but it's still cold.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, this week in PoE, we had Foogalicious this week. Really took advantage of, people are getting way more divines, of course, than you would ever get in any other league. The currency's bananas. People are excited to get their mirror drops, right? Congratulations to you for a natural mirror drop. Foog had that opportunity as well. And I guess, really took it to heart, like really doing what you should do with a mirror. So here, I'm going to read Foog's post because it made me laugh. So Foog says, I just checked online, and according to the National Endowment for Financial Education, 70% of lottery winners go bankrupt within a few years. So anyways, on a completely unrelated note, here's a video of me using one of my 5 mirrors on a medium normal life flask. So they copied a life flask, a medium life flask.
Hey, sometimes you need those.
Another. And you know what? But if there's any league to do it in, it's this one. So
as long as he didn't get rid of all of his mirrors.
Keep one. But I thought that was hilarious, and that's definitely what you should be doing with them, in my opinion. So that's fantastic. So anyway, this week in PoE, we also had the talent competition winners. Cool. And congratulations to Manway. You got shouted out last week with your wallet, which was fantastic. And Uwe, one of our listeners, posted on Discord that they got second place.
Yeah, they're Ranger with the as Merry Wanderers. It's actually pretty funny. And then I met Piety again. It's like, no kidding. God. It's so clever.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. They, obviously an awesome image there, but it's a bunch of people around characters around a bonfire in a forest. They're all chilling out. Looks like they're telling stories. And so that's when, and then one of them says, and that's, and then it's when I got to fight Piety again. So it was quite funny. So congratulations to all the runners up. Congratulations to all the winners. That's really exciting to see and good for you.
Yeah, that's very cool. What'd they get? Top 3 winners: Path of Exile art book, signed Atlas passive tree art print, 2 Path of Exile t-shirts, random Path of Exile or pin, Chaos Orb socks, and then your choice of that's cool.
It is. And you know what's cool? I like that signed Atlas passive tree because to me, I like seeing the stages of the game. Like if the Atlas tree changes again before Path of Exile 2, or if Path of Exile 2 does or doesn't have an Atlas path, like I like that. Like one of my favorite memories of this game is simply a screenshot of the old Atlas system.
That's what they're like. All the things that I have were the atlases as they change, like the different atlases. So it's pretty cool.
You know, like it used to start in the middle, or no, you'd be working from the corners to the middle, and then you'd have, like even before Influence, that was just really neat to see because they'd have the diagrams of the 4 guardians right in the middle as you get there and as you're working towards it. And there were certain maps you needed to roll each individual guardian map because of how the connection rules and map drop rates work, or map drop rules. And then they changed it. And then it's like, you have that image of having the influence on there as like the elder influence as you're trying to get certain maps to drop and roll. And I mean, I love the system. I prefer the system now, but I love the memories and seeing those images of it.
How it's progressed.
Right. Yeah. So that would be one thing where I would love. It's like, I wouldn't be disappointed when the Atlas tree changes if I have something that's signed from another age in Path of Exile land, so I like that stuff. Subtractum got the build of the week this week. Corpse Explosion, Poison. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but good for you, Subtractum.
I didn't watch it either. All I did see was, I think I noticed when I posted the tweet of our 5-star review, there was a tweet from Grinding Gear Games about something that they had to adjust on this video. And so I was like, what are they talking about? And apparently it's kind of weird. Like, so he does this build, they do this big shout out, they show it off. I didn't watch it either, but I guess in his video for it, he credits some other players for where he got the idea from.
Oh, okay.
But then people got upset because they're like, that's not his build. That's not his build. That's not his build. Okay, and so then he had to tweet saying like, hey, I did credit these people. And so then GG had to say, hey, we've adjusted.
So GGG didn't do their homework when they were,
I guess, not when they initially posted it, but also like, maybe they should just, instead of saying build by Subtractum or build by whatever, they just say that it was showcased by this person or something. Not that they created
all you need
the
to do is change right, because everybody gets ideas from everybody else anyway.
And you don't know, like even the 2 people that he credited, they just are the people who put it on maybe a YouTuber or put it out there. But that doesn't mean that there's not other people playing the build that just never put it out. So they
probably all got it from Ziz.
But everybody people play all these different types of builds. Maybe they don't post it. Maybe they do post it. So maybe they could just say like showcased by Subtractum instead of saying the build was created by a person. Just be like, this is how we found it, or I don't know. Anyway,
you should take Theta's build for the Herald of Agony, post it as yourself, and get featured in Build of the Week 14. And be like, I credit no anyone. That's right. I intentionally credit no one. This is my build. I did it. Man, the amount of hundreds I have had.
People call me the Hoag player of the league. Right. So
Hoag goat right here.
Yeah. I just find it a little bit silly because there's so many different people that play different types of builds, whether they post them or don't post them. So to say that one person came up with a build is kind of, even who he credits, it doesn't mean that they built that build. So anyway,
they stole it from me.
Find a different way to word it, and then you don't have to worry about this. Just like showcased by or something.
Yeah, that's right. What else? Consoles up to date in Patchland, so that's great. PC had no patches. Console just got caught up. Click on the first announcement link. You're gonna hate it.
First announcement link. Recent podcast. Why am I gonna hate this?
Well, just scroll through it.
How do I find it? Recent community podcasts. Is it probably all PoE2 stuff? Yeah, it's all their PoE2 conversations.
Yeah, but it's not worded that way. So like, I totally get it. They're like promoting like PoE2 with it, but it was worded like, hey, here's all of the recent PoE podcasts. And I'm sweet, we're going to be, oh, shoot, we're not. And I totally get it. I'm not giving them a hard time. I get it. It was the wording that made me excited for it. But then I realized that it was about PoE 2, but they didn't word it like that.
Yeah, I get it. Like even in times where we've been shouted out, there are so many different people that create content for their games. So they're not going to talk about all of them. That's right. Camille was on Front Seat Gamer. That's cool.
That's right. Yeah, because that was Nick, who used to do the storytelling for GGG, who's since moved on from the company. But he's had a podcast since. I remember that Nick, I think his name's Nick, in ExileCon 1, when he was sitting on the couch referencing the podcast that he has and talking about that a little bit. So yeah, that was that one. And then Alexander, who gets nothing but praise from the GGG community, was on a different one as well.
But I don't think they did. That wasn't in English, so I wouldn't be able to watch that one. But I did like his presentation. I think he was the one that did the presentation at ExileCon 2. So that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it makes sense that they're so heavy pushing with the PoE 2 stuff right now. So
that's like my biggest question now. My biggest question isn't about PoE 2. It's about why now? Why that part I don't get. Like 2 years of heavy PoE 2 marketing.
I hope this was it.
So tired.
I hope this was like I hope that was like their push for PoE 2, and we can move back into. I mean, it.
Well, go down 2 posts here. The third link, the last link in announcements that I have.
Hold on. Third one.
There's another one lined up.
Oh no, there is. Oh dang.
Yep. Now I don't know. Now these are people I'm familiar with. They're probably just. Yeah, I clicked on who they are, and they have hundreds of thousands of people that follow them. But it's marketing, right? Like they're not a PoE 2. I mean, maybe they are a PoE person, but they're not.
Wait, they're not okay. So they're not focused on PoE.
When's the last time you heard of this person?
I've never heard that.
Like you've heard of Gaz, you've heard of Ziz, you've heard of so many people that play PoE 2 as part of their success. Whereas then there's other people that maybe say, oh, I've always liked this game, but I play it 1% of my gaming time. So, it's just marketing. But anyway, they're not stopping. They're not stopping.
I will give credit though. I scrolled down through the comments on there, and I do agree with the one person who said that's not fair. I shouldn't say I agree with them because I haven't watched them, but I imagine that them saying that the interviews are getting stale. At some point you have to run out of stuff to talk about that they can talk about that's new. But
especially when you can't say what's actually going to happen.
Can't talk. I mean, and there's so many things that they don't know for sure. But credit to this Wudijo person, Wudijo. Sorry, I'm probably butchering that name. But somebody wrote, should be interesting though. Woody doesn't play PoE, and this Wudijo person actually posted on the Path of Exile forums, replying to that, and it says DW fam. So I'm assuming that's don't worry fam, and then he posted a screenshot of his playtime of 3,650 hours. In Path of Exile. So,
well, in other games, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, at least he knows the game, though. So,
to an extent, I'm sure. Yeah. That depends, right? Like for me, I have thousands and thousands of hours, but I stick to one archetype. Is it archetype? Archetype. So, like there's some things I'm familiar with, but have never personally experienced. I have the knowledge of, but I haven't actually played it and done the Uber content with it. And there's other people that play everything.
Which is not, so, I mean, and having that difference of style of play type is great for when people are asking questions, because you do generate different types. I've been tired about hearing about PoE 2 for a long time now. So this is like, okay. I mean, it's cool that they're getting out there, but I would like something different, but cool.
Yeah. But you bring up a great point, because
I wish I had read that before I said, I hope this is it.
Well, like you bring up a great point, because like there have been a lot of interviews, and yes, we're tired of it, especially because like you and I mentioned, it's kind of pointless when you can't give answers, you can't give reveals, your decisions haven't been made up yet, you have tons of time to change stuff. But like there was like Gazi, for example, was like all minions and all allies. Like that was so much of his questions with the Gazi DM interview, and that was perfect because none of those had been asked yet. Then that was that's what I've been waiting for. Ziz was huge about community. DM was so much about new player stuff because he's a relatively new player. So it does have a huge benefit, like you said, to have it's great to have questions from people that, like, for example, if you were to use you and me that only play one archetype, but then have someone like you who plays quite a variety of stuff, we would have very different cares and concerns about it. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to it for sure. But either way, yeah, that was Path of Exile this week. Congratulations again to the Forever Exiled community that participated in the, what's it called?
You had
community stuff.
You had another one in there I just noticed that was called account moderation change that they posted.
Oh, right. Yes, I have that up and I forgot to bring it up.
I'm just reading it right now because I hadn't seen it. We're making the changes to account moderation specifically to the effects of being muted. When an account is muted, the new restrictions will be as follows. You'll be unable to send or receive whispers from players if they're not on your friends list and you are not on their friends list. You will not be shown as online on the trade website.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, hold on. So the rest is we will also be applying harsher mutes for players that are intentionally being sent to the void with character names that breach our code of conduct. Abusing the message broadcast of being sent to the void to advertise or promote RMT will result in a permanent mute. I mean, you could just ban them well, instead of just a mute, but yeah, whatever. I feel like if you're purposefully doing it to promote a website that buys and sells Path of Exile stuff, that's a fair thing to ban them for. If that's the purpose of them naming
is
that
RMT
character.
Real money? Is that
when people are
real money
trading? Okay. Yeah. So whatever. But I'm curious though. It says we're making some changes to the account moderation specifically to the effects of being muted. Now, who mutes a person? Like I can ignore you, but I can't mute you, right?
I've never seen a mute option when I'm clicking on anything. Not saying it's not there, but I've never noticed it. One thing that drives me nuts so here's the thing, like when you're designing the UI for your drop down menu per se, like when I'm adding people to when I'm promoting people in our FE guild, kick from guild and promote are right next to each other. And I'm like, because I'm on controller. Right. Because you never know when like your controller's just that little bit worn out and it accidentally bumps up when you're not touching anything. So I'm like waiting for it to bump up. It doesn't. And it doesn't bump up. But I'm like, this could be the time where I accidentally kick a fan from our guild, and then they get on some sort of like depression binge because we kicked them from an Anyway. But because of the layout, I only focus on what I need because I'm so nervous because there's such stupid things right next to each other. I'm only focused on promote member. So I honestly don't even know if mute is an option when I highlight somebody.
Mute must be something on GGG's end, not ours, because I've only seen the ability to ignore. I was just concerned that if I mute, or sorry, not mute, but if I ignore somebody, it wouldn't be fair for them to not show as online on the trade site unless that meant to just me. But there is the ability to have certain people blocked on the trade site for yourself anyway. So anyway, yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good that they're doing something. I was joking with somebody that towards the end of the league, I was going to take one of my level 100s, and because there's a name change option now, right? Like
yes, that's right. You get, character. I think you start off with 20, and then if I remember correctly, you're capped at 20 and they start you off at 20, but if if you love changing names, you only look at all the dust in my camera. Yeah. Do you see that?
I do. Yeah.
I stood up. My wife cleaned up the desk a little bit, and because there's a few things that I haven't. Awesome segue, by the way. And so she put a whole bunch of the papers that I had.
What I like about dust.
So anyway, she put a whole bunch of my papers up there that I intentionally, like, it looked messy, but they were exactly where I wanted them. Anyway, now they're in a pile. And they're over there, and I was looking for my glasses cleaner while you were talking because I didn't want to use my shirt because for whatever reason it's smudging it and not cleaning it. So anyway, that's what I was doing. I was like moving the papers around, and then it looked like it was freaking snowing in my office in the camera. What were we talking about?
I was just joking with somebody that at the end of the league I was gonna. I should have done it already.
Yeah, they give you 2. They replenish 2 a week apparently.
Oh, if I was going to change one of my character names to Forever Exile Podcast and then go die in the void.
Well, hey, but that's way better than 420, 69, deep ball. I don't know, something. Yeah. I don't know what people do. I'm not that creative. I just giggle when people say stupid things. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, that's a good change if people are using it to break the rules.
That's a good thing for anybody playing the private league. When you die, I won't be responding with RIP or what is it? F? Is that's I refuse to do F because that's a Call of Duty thing if I know my stuff. And no Call of Duty will ever come into ARPG land. That is blasphemous.
Keep in mind though that it's F and it's Call of Duty and it's used because it's kind of mocking the fact that that's your way to pay respect. Was like in the game it was to press F to pay respect at some sort of funeral or something.
Right. Yeah. So,
but Tyler won't
because
do it.
It's Call of Duty, I will not do that, and I won't go aw, too bad, or great try. My response, it's going to be 3. It's going to be ha ha ha, because ha ha is like, I don't care about anything that's being said. I always find that when like in like a WhatsApp chat, if I say something that I think is hilarious and I'm hoping people think my joke is funny and I get a ha, like 2 ha's.
I do that all the time.
No, it's they did not like it. They're being nice, but that's a dick move. So you know what I mean? So
it's
3
just giving it to you. It's like, okay, good.
3's
too many.
No, 3 means I actually thought it was funny. So I will be providing you with at least 3 ha-ha-ha's for every death. I want you to understand that we are hoping you die a lot. And yes, it's going to be very frustrating. Are you freaking out because of Discord?
Yeah, you froze for a second there.
Yeah, I saw you do a thing and then all of a sudden you were frozen. I thought you were being a really good listener. And then all of a sudden I see your face and it's like you saw a ghost.
Oh, the like lips are so far off now too for you talking.
It'll catch up. Well, it'll catch up. It does that hopefully with you lots. And so anyway, we're hoping you die lots. We're hoping it's deflating, but we also want you to like have fun with that aspect. Like, you know, there's some people that excel at hardcore in our private league. We hope they get hit by a bus in real life. That's fine. But for those that aren't comfortable with hardcore, like myself or Justin, actually not Justin because he does well every league, so screw him. We want you to die. We want, shoot, but we're going to make fun of you. And it's just all part of the fun of it. So try and have fun with it. But I am going to laugh at you. So don't get all
you'll be
negative in real life about it. Try and laugh about it. Ha ha.
Yeah, it's supposed to happen. It's hardcore. That's what's supposed to happen. I actually laughed this week on Discord.
You laughed?
There was a conversation happening regarding the Fulcrum build, which I played the Fulcrum build, and I can't remember who it was that was trying to figure out switching. I think it was Vowels was playing a different version of it where it wasn't based around Fulcrum and so Sid had wrote something about not sure why people make that switch. And I did make that switch away from Fulcrum and I was really regretting it. I really wished I had stuck with the Fulcrum build. It was way tankier. But in this conversation, there was this back and forth. I was explaining why I did this, blah, blah, blah. And Sid wrote, honestly, using Greed's Embrace, which is the chess piece. It's a chess piece that's very focused on quant and rarity, but it does have minus movement speed on it. He says the main source of extra quant is just a massive bait on this build. The build already moves slower than Tyler, adding more negative move speed and removing the nice quality of life.
Son of a bastard. Which channel is that in? Build
It was in general. It's not that far up. Yeah,
was it today?
So funny. No, it was last night, but it's just up a little bit because I posted last night that I actually laughed out loud when I read it.
We are pausing everything. F you, Sid.
That was so
Did
funny.
he tag me or no?
No.
Oh, no, he said Tyler. Okay. Hang on.
It's like if you scroll like 6 messages from where we are right now, you'll see it. Because then Theta wrote lies, nothing slower than Record of Days. He did tag you in that one. Theta did, but just the way that because I was reading it, we were having a conversation.
You bastard, Sid. You son of a bastard. Listen, now
it made me laugh so hard.
Sid brings up though, like on a completely
His point
different
is great.
note.
He's just making a funny note.
Sure, of course, and I love it. Like make fun of me as much as you want.
That was so funny.
I enjoy the humor, and it's kind of fun to make fun of people sometimes. And Justin and I,
we don't take it seriously.
No, Justin and I totally know it's just for fun. You're not going to hurt us, so. You know, like have fun, enjoy it in our community. If you're on Discord, poke as much fun as you want about anything about us. I don't know how other people feel, so be gentle with other people. But you make fun of us as much as you want. We enjoy the community aspect of it. But I would like to thank everybody that helps out as much as Sid does. Sid, of course, is very helpful in the build help section. But there's so many other people that do. There's so many other people that respond, and they take time out of their day to give like 8-mile long responses about builds, about mechanics, about everything. And so whether it's in our community or a different community like a Path of Exile website, Reddit, wherever it is, just big thank you. Like time is probably, it's going to sound lame, but time's probably like the most generous thing you can give people these days, right? Like how often do I ask you like, hey, Justin, how was your week? Oh man, I was busy. So like when you give time to the podcast, when you give time to me, when I knock on your door to give you a Patreon card for you to sign and ship off, and then, you just talk with me for 15 minutes and you give me a sip of the latest scotch that you want me to try. Like, like time's like the most generous thing you can give people. So a big shout out to people on our Discord or whatever other community you're a part of that actually give time. You're fantastic. Thank you. And don't feel guilty if you don't have the time. Like I just want to shout out the people that do have the time and do decide to give it. It's such a wonderful game to do it. So thank you for making this community awesome.
There was a conversation in Global 2121 maybe 2 weeks ago where somebody was trying to figure out something with their build. And somebody said, you post your question and what you're looking for and build help because somebody will definitely be able to help you. And I did see them posted in there and they got so much help. So I think the community is awesome. So big shout out to everybody who helps out.
Yes. Thank you.
Did you play this week?
I tried. I mean, I played Ziz's Gauntlet because, I rock like that.
Oh, that's right. How'd you do?
Listen, I don't mean to brag, but damn, it feels good to be a gangster. First time I've ever played the Gauntlet, I didn't die.
Okay.
I passed the game.
Okay. I was going to say.
I passed the game. So I don't know what people are giggling about. I passed breaking the eggs. What else is there? But look at all the mods they added.
I know. I saw it. It's crazy.
It's funny within the community that I really enjoy this part where like ROAs used to be a massive problem for me. They're not anymore. I've figured it out like last week. But
move left, move right.
That's right. No, but you can get into some tricky situations. Like when the game rolls and you get that stun, and you die. There's nothing you can do. It's just how the game rolls sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like we introduced Dungeons and Dragons to the kids the other day. There's a kid's version or a beginner's version that you can do where almost all the characters are the same, but it adds some fun elements. Yeah, really, really fun. And so the kids are getting introduced to the 20-sided die. And the other day we played a game where everybody was rolling twos. Nobody was dealing any damage. We almost all died by the end of the first out of 4 regions.
That's fun though.
It was brutal, and that was the first game my daughter played, but my son, wife, and I had already played 3 versions of the game or 3 times beforehand and have experienced success with it. And so we were all appreciative of how frustrating dice rolls can be sometimes. Sometimes that's how it happens with ROAs too or whatever. But they haven't been a problem forever. But I love that people always pretend that I suck at the Roa life, and breaking the eggs is my most difficult quest in the game. But yeah, no, I played Ziz's Gauntlet and I went through and I originally started off with Blight because I'm like, okay, well, they have crazy movement speed. I have damage reduction. They have increased damage. I think that's what it is. Anyway, I couldn't remember. Didn't double check. I'm like, I'm just going to get Blight and go for it. I'm great. I had fun. I hit every boss on the way. Like that stupid fire lady. Is that the Mudflats? No, that's not the Mudflats. What's before the Mudflats? The beach or whatever? Yeah.
It's the coast.
I encountered her. Blight was great for that. But I'm like, you know what?
You actually fought her?
Yeah.
Man, I always run right past her.
No, man. See, that's the thing. That's hardcore. You live through the encounters that come your way. You don't run away and go,
yeah, you do.
Not for me. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I die so much. But no,
that's why.
Every encounter you come across, you have to defeat. That's hardcore, and then live through it, and then you can brag about it. I can't brag.
Not hardcore. Hardcore is you die, you're
passing
dead.
Act 2.
Yes,
when all I did was run away.
Also, you did not pass Act 2. Let's not get crazy.
No. So anyway, but so I beat the fire lady with Blight, but then I'm like, you know what? This doesn't feel right. I didn't pick zombies from Tarkley. I picked Blight, because I'm trying to be strategic, but it felt dirty. You
felt guilty.
Like I was watching one of those shows I was talking about last week where there's cheating in relationships sexually. And I couldn't even sleep next to my wife after that because I felt so gross. So anyway, that's what I felt like. I felt like I was cheating on zombies. So I went back and I spent out of my 3 scrolls of wisdom, because none were dropping, I bought zombies and I bought purifying flame. And I went back and I tackled the Mudflats and I crushed the whole thing. oozy woozy whatever unique boss that's in there that has the chaos damage over time aura. Crushed it, no biggie. And then I got to I don't know, what is it, the submerged passage or whatever it is, that next waypoint after you get the
done.
I did. That was it. Who needs more? Mal awesome. On Discord was saying that or Malabar, sorry, but Mal, I always say Mal in my head when I'm responding to them. But anyway, Mal was saying like, no. You said the siren. You said piety, or not piety. What's her face? Merveille. Yeah. That's how we say it, because we're used to having French in the country with the EIL at the end. You don't actually pronounce it. I don't know how other people pronounce it. When you're from,
it is Merveille. He says it in the game.
Oh, does he? I don't listen to any of that stuff.
What's his face? Duresso?
You know what's hilarious? They're spending millions of dollars on Path of Exile 2's campaign, and you know what we're gonna do? Skip. Yeah, we have 10 years of Path of Exile experience. We're not going to give two craps about what's happening. They're going to spend all this money, and all these returning players are going to skip. They're
going to put you into a locked screen every time you turn a quest.
For the first year, you can't skip dialogue.
No.
But anyway, yes, that's what I did. I just did that, and that was fine. But honestly, and Mal, the reason that I actually didn't attempt to go for your checkpoint of defeating Merveille was because my game kept crashing. It crashed, I think, about 8 times trying to get through the mudflats. And it kept coming up with a Windows error. It wasn't like it just crashed to desktop and it was just within the game. There was something to do with, there was a Windows error that kept popping up. So I don't know where it comes from or what it is. Maybe I'll reinstall the game, but yeah, it was just too frustrating to get to that point. And every time I died, there's that old school fear of, shoot, I crashed. Did that count as a death? Right. And like, for whatever reason, that
always
happens.
A surprise every time you turn it back on.
But every time I loaded, it still said Ziz's thingy thing. So it worked and I got there. But yeah, so don't worry, Mal, didn't chicken out. And I totally could have done it with zombies. Oh man, imagine Merveille with all those extra mods and zombies. Zombies can't survive no matter what you immediately focus on with survivability, with purifying flame. There's nothing you can do for zombies in that. You have to go back to town and either buy skeletons or SRS if you're doing if you focused on minion stuff. But it's really sad. So I really hope, I know that Jonathan and the PoE team read my Reddit stuff because of references and previous things, like some of the posts that they had in the PoE2 Reddit. So hopefully that's kind of stuff that kind of resonates over time, like people's comments as they're making decisions. They don't get caught up in their own world of creativity. They remember some of the concerns of the community that they think might be valid. Hopefully that's the case for PoE2, because this week I decided that no matter how much I love the Reaper, it's still too much babysitting for me. I think zombies are still my go-to.
Well, congrats on beating the eggs.
You know what? It wasn't just the eggs, Justin. It was Fire Lady and Uzu. Or what?
Are they cutting down outside of your house?
It sounds like they're cutting down the entire forest around our place. Like, it sounds like the whole mountain has been like, you know what? Deforestation time. We'll make it up to you. But we're really short on paper. So let's get this show on the road. Funny. Yeah, no, they're sawing a lot of concrete.
Cutting up the concrete. That makes sense. Well, that's good. Good for you. I didn't play this week at all. Just did not have time. And I was also just a little bit annoyed after my last time that I played, because I wish I had never switched off of Fulcrum. I don't like dying. That was what kept me playing so much, was I was having so much fun because I wasn't dying, and then swapping over to trying to increase the quantity, which was a lot of fun. Playing with very, very high quantity. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. The drops were crazy, but the odd death was just... I was talking to Josh about it, I think last week, maybe it was before or after we recorded, I don't remember, but it's completely old news. I 100% understand it's old news. I'm just rehashing something that people have said before, but to die and have no understanding as to what you can do to fix it is so frustrating.
For the last 5 years, it has been, it doesn't change the frustration level, no matter how many times it happens, no matter how much you know, when you actually can't. Like, even if you can figure it out later, it doesn't matter. You want to know why in the moment. That is the way, like in Elden Ring, when I die from something, even if it's a stupid mechanic, like when we were talking about, I forget, it was probably an After Dark, one of the last two After Darks, when we were talking about Millennia and Elden Ring, and right, even though you hate a certain move or you think it's unfair or it's poorly designed, when you know why you died, you have something to build on.
Yep.
Now, okay, so I record my stuff. Well, okay, so I go on Twitch and I die, so I can go back and fine, but that doesn't help me.
I don't think I would know.
It removes the fun per hour. Even if you can go back and look at your debuff bar, I want to know why in gameplay I did, because you know what I want to do next? I want to get back into it and try again. And if I don't know from the gameplay experience why I died, that next encounter is just going to be just as dumb as the first one. And if I have to actually go back and do homework, now I have nothing wrong with doing homework and figuring things out for some circumstances, but this is a game where death is expected. This is a game where they design, like, think back on how many Chris Wilson interviews. He wants you to die a lot. He says 100 should be, he wants 100s to be freaking impossible. Like that to be an achievement of the decade. You know what I mean? So I really hope they nail that with Path of Exile 2. I really hope that's part of their mentality, that you know why you died. So your next
attempt, asked them that?
You can,
in the other things you've watched?
They have.
Okay.
And it still comes down to, like, it's not like this. These questions and answers come from a few different types of questions, but to paraphrase a few of their answers, a death recap screen isn't going to help as much as visual clarity. So that's kind of their point. They're really focusing on visual clarity for Path of Exile 2. And that's great, but I hope they think of a few things. Like, for example, the first time you fight Innocence in the axe, the dude does yellow fritzy balls. Well, what's yellow? The game's
Apparently
introduced cold. That's like white and blue. The game's introduced lightning. Well, that's also white and blue. Thanks for the variety. The game's introduced bleed. Okay, but at the beginning stage of that fight, you have corrupted blood, which isn't bleed. And you're like, what the fuck? Okay, so now there's another damage type of the exact same color that I'm no longer protected from. But why isn't my bleed flask working? Like, there's nothing in the game that's the same color. Then all of a sudden there's yellow. Well, what the heck is yellow? Like, sure. Oh, I mean, my guess would be lightning, but how would you know? Because lightning up until that point's been blue. So I hope they come up with some really strict rules for themselves that really improve visual clarity. Because sure, like, I might know that yellow ball killed me, but I have no idea what that is because it matches nothing from the 5 previous acts.
Well, so my argument is okay, you're right. They are right. Visual clarity would be great and good to understand. But my counter to that is actually that they're entirely wrong. Understanding what killed me or what type of damage I took that killed me is much better than visual clarity. Much, much better. Yes. The fact is, if I fight an enemy that does 2 different types of, let's say they do physical and fire, it's whatever it might be. If I understand what I took from damage, the visual clarity didn't help me understand what it was. It was when I'm dead, I go, oh shit, that guy did X amount. Exactly. Or even more so, like where you show, like I've played games where it shows, like if it was like a type of damage that breaks the your armor, or just something, just some. I had it happen so many times, not this past week, but the week before, where I was like, I had been playing up to this point, never dying. And then I got to a point where I couldn't play the same way anymore. And granted, that was my fault. I had switched up the build, but I was still very similarly built tank-wise, very similarly built buffs-wise. And to just instantly pop, and I mean, to the credit of like their comment of visual clarity, they're right. I couldn't see anything on the screen. But I was saying to Josh last week, like, why can't they just keep the debuffs on the bar for like on the screen for a little bit so I can mouse over them? You can't mouse over them. You can't. Yeah. When you're dead, I can try and like quickly find the stupid rare, but when there's 15 rares on the screen, I don't know.
Right.
I don't understand what it was that killed me. And that it does get really frustrating because that was kind of what turned me off, where I had a little bit of time to play this week, but I was like, I'm just going to try these other games because I've got the Private League coming up. And I was just getting frustrated at the fact of like, it wasn't the same feeling that I had been having all this league. And yeah, I don't know. It's so funny to still rehash that same thing, but I was chatting with Josh, who has not played obviously as much as we have, but he just can't understand why they don't have something that tells us.
And the reason they come up with when they're specifically asked about a death recap is, well, we could do it, and it wouldn't take much effort, but we couldn't do it the way that we would really want to, so we're not going to implement it at all. And I think that's garbage. Give us...
Well, then have they ever explained how they want to?
Yeah,
like,
they want to make it so that you actually
do?
understand why you died. As opposed to, like, if you say, oh, well, you took, 1,500 damage of lightning and 1,500 damage of bleed or whatever, they said that doesn't actually help you because, there's a lot more tags that go into the game where maybe it was an attack, maybe it was a spell, maybe it was damage over time. But to me, like, I would rather have a list. Like, let me type in /death or whatever it is, and I have 20 lines to read through. It'll be like, took this damage, took this damage, took this damage, took this damage. You healed for this amount with your flaws. It took this damage, took this damage. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, who cares if it's sloppy? Who cares if it's ugly? I decided to type in /recent death, and I just want to know. That's all that is. Like, I don't care if I have to read an essay. Right now, you give me nothing.
Which is what other games have been in the past. Even when there's tons of damage happening. I remember like games like WoW and other games where there was in the chat box, there was a combat log. You didn't have to look at it, but there was something that was always tracking what happened. And I'm not saying they need to go to that degree.
Yeah, they should.
I am still blown away sometimes when I play their game to the amount of stuff that is happening at a single moment in that game is insane. It's always, I've always been very shocked by it, but I disagree with the idea that it wouldn't be helpful. What would not be helpful is if you told me what damage killed me right now. What did the last piece of HP?
Yeah,
that's not helpful.
That doesn't help.
But if you can tell me what happened over the last 4 seconds, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, that is helpful because I can at least look through that to try and figure out what did I miss? What was it that happened? But it ended up getting too frustrating for me because I could not understand what was so different and how do I fix it? And that was just enough for me to be like, you know what, I'm going to go do something else.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Path of Exile 1 is that busy where that would be an insane list to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, that's their fault. And the game's still a game that is very difficult to recommend to people because it is so unfriendly to users from so many aspects, not just like the knowledge aspect, but like so much, the learning aspect, everything. Like, it's just an impossible game to recommend. And then when you get into Path of Exile 2 and they want visual clarity to be more of a thing, and you're actually going to know why you died, and the enemies are probably going to be tougher, but less quantity of them, all of a sudden you're in a situation where, okay, well, now it's completely legit for you to add a death recap because you don't have a million things happening, and I don't have to read an essay for the last 4 seconds. Now you actually have the pace of the game where a death recap makes sense because there's not a million things happening.
Yeah, see this, I guess this is part of the thing that'll be interesting to see as we go along, because they talk about the fact that they're slowing it down, but then they also come out and say, well, don't worry, people who play PoE 1, it's still going to be busy, it's still going to be fast. And then they say they don't want to do a death recap because they want to make visual clarity better, but if you're going to make the game faster, that means the visual clarity has to decrease.
It's going to suck.
Right. So like, I mean, whatever. It is what it is. That's a little disheartening to hear them say, well, we actually would, instead of doing a death recap, we'd rather make visual clarity better. Well, that hasn't happened yet. We've yet to see any version of visual clarity getting even remotely better. So just focus on the death recap instead.
Right. Like, there are changes to Detonate Dead where they have different clarity or different animations based on the life health of the corpse that's going to detonate, and they make it brighter. Well, okay, that's helpful only for people that clear screens instantly. For people that play like me and they take their time in gameplay, there's still a lot of enemies on the screen. I still have 10 summon phantasms. I still have 8 zombies. I still have 9 skeletons. I still have a golem. I still have 2 specters. And then like there's a bunch of enemies. And it's like, well, what am I supposed to, like, that visual clarity doesn't help me.
It's a joke with Josh and I where when we're playing or doing something, I'll be like, well, just watch the ground. You should be fine.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
He knows I'm obviously joking. Yeah, just look at the ground. You're fine. So whatever. We'll see what they do.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Whenever PoE 2
sounds
comes out.
Weird to say right after all that. I'm excited for it. But I really wish they would just, like, that's one of the few things where I really wish they would do the half-hearted attempt. Like, just give it to us. That's fine.
Sure.
Let us choose to use it or not.
There is no way somebody that the general consensus from people is like, this sucks if you do it the way that they don't want to do it. There's no way.
Right.
If you provide any form of information, that's better than what it has been since 2013 or whenever the game came out.
Yeah.
It just is. Any type of information would be nice.
I wonder what it would take for a battle log to exist in the game.
Well, and that's why I think it would be crazy, because there's just so much happening, especially when you talk about like blocking, evading, suppressing. Like there's just so, I can't even imagine what is happening
per
if
contact.
You could see, yeah, per any instance of something happening. So I don't really know how that side of it would work, but also that's not my problem. I play the game. So you need to make it so that I can play the game and understand the game. That's your problem, not mine.
Yep. You know, it's funny. I think as much as I play Path of Exile, obviously I'm a huge nerd about it. I have a Path of Exile podcast. I talk about Elden Ring and From Software games, Dark Souls, because I just love boss fights. I think my favorite game, like the best game I've ever played, is Dragon's Dogma.
Now, 2's coming soon, isn't it?
It is in March. So we're going to have a Dragon's Dogma podcast. That's right. But here's the thing. Like, it's the crappiest story I've ever played. It was so stupid.
Don't even know the story.
But who cares? Because the gameplay was fantastic. The progression was fantastic. I never needed to go on the wiki. The only reason I ever went on the wiki was to min-max some math for immunities. I never once needed to go on the wiki to understand something. Everything in the game made sense to me. And you could, like, granted, nothing's as complicated as Path of Exile, but I was able to have my Path of Exile scratches itched in that game based on the things that I did with my team and my character and the items and progressing through the story. Like, I was able to do all that and scratch that itch without ever putting my controller down. And granted, they're very different games, but that should always be the goal. I'm sitting down to play a game. If I want to spend my time playing Path of Building, fine, but I shouldn't need to. I should be able to sit down, play Path of Exile, and learn it and keep my controller, mouse, keyboard, whatever, in my hand. I shouldn't have to tab out. I should want to, if I'm want to be more knowledgeable about something, but I shouldn't have to tab out. And again, these are Path of Exile 1 complaints, but from everything that I've heard, Jonathan and whoever he's had with him in all of his interviews, they agree with everything. They're like, we completely agree. We're definitely trying to fix it. The complexity is, how do you fix it?
Yeah, the game's so big.
It is. And so they're doing their best. I really wish them the best. I really, like, I'll be heartbroken for them if it doesn't work out. Like, I won't be heartbroken for me. I mean, sure, for me, but like, they want this game to succeed the exact same way that super fans do. And I'd be heartbroken for them if they screw that up somehow. Like, I actually
think it will be fine.
I think so,
too. It will be completely fine. And I think all they're doing with all of this extra stuff is just giving fodder to people to just like bake on and think about and squawk about and like.
Squawk. Yeah, that's a perfect term. Squawk.
So I am very much looking forward to PoE 2. I had to say this last week because people made some comments with regards to things I was saying. I am very excited for PoE 2. I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to know about it. I just want to play it. So that's when I'll be excited about it. Right now there's just so many weird things where I'm going, like even the death recap thing, what you're sort of like highlighting, obviously at a higher level, we don't know to the degree that they're actually planning for, but the idea of them saying, we actually think it's better to focus on visual clarity is a very big warning to me that you're not getting a death recap.
Yes.
That's just not going to be in PoE 2. So
the thing that gets me going, like these are Path of Exile 1 complaints, and the only reason that Path of Exile 2 comes up is because Path of Exile 2 is the fix, right? The thing about, I think that death recap, though, they'll have a very difficult time within a year not including it. You know, like they'll attempt to fix it, right? It's not, the PoE 2 is not going to come out with a death recap, but if visual clarity is that thing and people still can't tell why they died or what kind of damage that was, there's no way it stays out. Like once let's say they do fix visual clarity, but the knowledge still isn't there. You know, like going back to Sin and Innocence, the first time you see a yellow spell. Well, what kind of damage type is that? I've seen all the elements already. So what kind of damage is this? If they do something like that in the game, even though visual clarity is fixed, they have to add something like that. They have to.
I mean, what would be awesome with stuff like that, but it only works through the campaign, would be having some sort of like wiki or something in the game where when I'm fighting Sin and Innocence, I learn what type of damage they do and what, something that does it. The problem is that doesn't translate into end game. Typically, I don't know what PoE 2 end game looks like, but it doesn't, because I'm not fighting Sin and Innocence all the time. I'm fighting random rares. Right. So unless I understand very specifically what they do, I'm not sure it's super helpful.
I think you can do it. Like, they already have a bestiary, like a little book in the game that shows different things. You can add more detail to that, of course. As you go through the campaign, there's an easy way to organize that. But if you go through and you have like an enemy encyclopedia of enemies you've encountered and only enemies you've encountered, there's an easy way to, okay, so here they are, right? Here's the different types of enemies, base types, whatever they are, undead enemies, however they organize it. But then there could also still be a recently encountered enemies tab or selection, and whether they're new or not. And then you can go through and be like, oh, okay, there it is. And then you click and it's like, that was that?
Yeah, but is it like going to be that every type of mob always has the same type of enemy, affix or something? And then also, I don't see how they make PoE 2 so visually clear and slow it down and still keep Path of Exile 1 feel. And so I think if that starts to creep in, you just see an end game that looks the same now, where it's just busy. You gotta, because if I'm mapping and I'm, let's say it's end game, if I'm fighting just one rare every now and then and it's slowed down, either XP has to be better per mob, the drops have to be infinitely better. I don't see where that balance is going to come. And that's why, again, even talking PoE 2 kind of goes like, well, what's the point? Because it just leaves you with more questions. But
they've referenced those as well. That's definitely all stuff they're obviously considering. I think you could always have, like, on the top of the encyclopedia or whatever it is, like, map mods are also a thing. So take note to what the map mods are, but this is the base damage types or conversion, whatever, and these are the different skills they use and the damage they do as the base type of the enemy. It's the user's job to pay attention to the map mods, but here's the basic information of the most recent enemies you've faced. And to me, like, even the skeletons in dungeons, they have some lightning spells that they do. Makes no sense to me because they're normal enemies. But, so you have that in the encyclopedia. It says it's physical 50% lightning conversion, whatever it is. Like that kind of stuff. Like, I have no problem. Like, I definitely want the user to actually have to use their head. So I don't think the encyclopedia should ever include anything like map mods.
Well, but the thing is, though, like, it's not often that you're killed because of the type of attack that the enemy did. It's because of the type of affix that has been assigned to that particular rare. And so that's where I think there's going to be a struggle. If a rare, whatever, skeleton or whatever it is, has a particular modifier that's been added to it, but that's still random, which rare can get which modifier applied to it, that's where it becomes difficult, because you need to be able to understand what every single modifier does. And there's nothing in the game besides you trying to look at them really quickly. Like, we've seen the fact that you get boss bars, which is great. But if I'm fighting 3 rares in a map, I haven't gained anything. I haven't been able to gain any knowledge about what those things are, at least from what I would assume. So
some are self-explanatory, but some definitely aren't, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
and especially if they're continuing with the bestiary, essence, and arch nemesis style of modifier description, they definitely need to have something in game.
Mm-hmm. Thief's Torment. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
This is
now fine. I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. We got our private league coming up in a week, so hopefully everybody joins in on that wants to play. Forever Exile 227 and Justin AK tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else will see you after the private league starts next week in 228. If you're looking for more information, you'll find it down below. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. We're on Twitter, foreverexiled82. We have a very fun Discord. Pop in there and say hi. And Patrons, other ways to support the podcast, you will find them down below and on said website. Have a great week.
Love ya.